Yes.
So you're exactly right. We're conditioned to go buy stuff. And there's nothing wrong with going to buy
And
stuff.
not
That's our
necessarily
economy.
conditioned to put that money into ourselves.
Yes. And so it's the bigger problem is that folks don't see themselves as an investment.
As an investment. And we are number one investment.
That's the number one investment.
Number one investment. Yeah. It's no longer, I think I'm healthy. I know I'm healthy. And there's some things that I need to work on, but I'm on the path to making sure they're taken care of. So again, it goes far beyond just knowing you're healthy. You got to confirm that 100%. You have to confirm that 100%. I know I'm healthy and it feels so good. And just recently, I want to go ahead and express the experience and the gratitude that I have for my next guest here on Do the Work podcast. And just because it's changed my mindset of how I'm approaching my life, my business in general. And I wanted to share this because I know there's a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs that take on all this stress and duress on a daily basis. And there is a process that we need to go to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves because so much is riding on us. And with that being said, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest today, Dr. David Boyd, MD, and his program, Blind Spot Medical.
Thanks,
Dr.
man.
B, man, thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Dude, I can't tell you how much my mindset has shifted ever since I went through the blind spot experience. And I wanted to bring you on board because I wanted to express it. I know there's a lot of small business owners that follow me, a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for everyone to have this opportunity to make sure that they're living their optimal life.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about Blind Spot Medical and what it is and why you're offering it. And I'll tell you my own experience around it.
Yeah, please do.
But please tell us a little bit about what Blind Spot Medical is.
So it's kind of like with what you just said, that for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. And so really where it came from was this deep frustration that I had.
Yeah.
And so what started was I was a medical director at a major cancer center here in Phoenix.
Yes.
Okay. And I kept seeing folks come in with these cancers. And there's this common theme. And don't get me wrong, you would have some younger folks here and there, but the common theme was folks that have worked hard throughout their entire life, and then once they were hitting their 40s, their 50s, some folks when they were getting ready to retire, and it's like they feel like, all right, I've done this work,
yes.
I've been consistent,
yes.
and now I can finally enjoy life, that then they were handed something else.
Man.
And I saw it over and over and over again.
How devastating is that? I mean, to the families. I'm sure you were encountering families of these individuals, right?
Yeah, and it was heartbreaking, because it was like, okay, well, very often by the time you find something is when symptoms are coming up, when problems are coming up, and then that's when it's like, oh, let me go investigate and see what the problem is. Okay, so it led to a simple question, and the question was, well, why are we waiting until problems come up? Why can't we look first?
A proactive approach.
Be proactive.
Right.
And so the concept is good, but the problem then became with the way our healthcare system is set up. Mm-hmm. Right. So it led to some conversations with colleagues of mine. And I said, well, wait a minute, guys. Why aren't we going and doing these screening exams? Why aren't we imaging folks? Why aren't we doing blood tests and such to try to find problems when they're small before they ever become out of hand?
Yes.
And
sometimes where they're not even curable.
Exactly. And so the answer that I got was one that just didn't sit well with me. And it was insurance companies won't pay for that.
They won't pay for preventative or the proactive approach.
Exactly.
It's when you have the symptoms, when you're sick, then we'll kind of kick into gear here. And, that really resonated with me because when I first heard about this program, I'll be honest here with you, Dr. Boyd, I was like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm healthy.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm doing all these great things for myself. I don't necessarily need that. That's for the older folks,
right,
50, 60. I'm 41. I don't need that right now, something to think about. But, it's my mind shifted almost immediately, because when we had our initial conversation, I really still wasn't sold on it. I knew how important it was, right? Taking this proactive approach, especially like we discussed this, like as small business owners, we take on a whole new level of stress and duress,
All
right?
the time, yeah.
All the time. We're constantly thinking about things we have to do in the business, outside the business, the employees. I mean, there's just so much. And stress it's almost like a precursor to many other diseases.
100%.
So I had this conversation with Dr. Boyd, and I had the conversation with Dr. Boyd, and I was still on the fence. I was like, well, yeah, it's a good investment. It's not a cheap process by any means, but I knew it was then that's what made me hesitate a bit. Now I know it was the best investment ever, but then I was like, well, do I really want to move forward with this, especially what's going on now? I have to be cautious about the funds. That was the thoughts that were going through my mind.
All right.
I gave a call to Carla, and she's pretty straightforward with everything.
Yeah, she is.
She goes, are you stupid or something? Of course, go out and invest in yourself. Because from her perspective, she sees how hard we both work, right? She sees the worry that I take on sometimes. She sees when I'm off my game. She knows when I'm on my game. And the last thing we want to do is to know that we could have probably prevented something and avoided it altogether.
Right.
So when we had this conversation, it was like a no-brainer. You must take care of yourself so you can take care of what you've built. And, for me, I talk, of course, this program is for everybody out there, but I'm very partial to small business owners, right?
Of course, yeah.
Because I've been in this game for many years and, been in this environment for many years where I know how much we have to take on. And that's why I was so passionate with this COVID-19 about how they shut down all these businesses. And we'll get into that conversation.
Yeah,
so I
absolutely.
want to hear your perspective on it. But I was pretty passionate about expressing the way I felt, because I also understand the stress and duress that comes from not having funds coming in.
Yeah.
Like lack of money, money going out, but nothing coming in. Like I've been in that situation. So I felt it for all these small business owners. But back to this whole blind spot medical, I spoke to Carla, I explained to her, and she says, the last thing I want is, again, to know that we could have prevented something and we avoided it just to save a few dollars. And I called you back almost immediately.
Yeah, it was quick.
It was quick. And I said, mark me in. Like, let's put it down on the calendar.
Yeah.
And with you, a conversation with you, you just stated what the process was going to be, and we'll explain that here in just a second. But I got to tell you, like, ever since that day that we went through this entire process, I've never felt more confident in my ability to take this business, to take my life in general, to be there for my daughters for a long time, for my marriage, like I do today.
Why?
And I'll tell you why. Because I always thought that I was healthy, but there was always that little voice that said, well, maybe not.
Right.
AZ, you were kind of a little maniac in your teenage years. You weren't so responsible in your 20s. In your 30s, you were still a little immature. And there's a lot of decisions that I made for my body that, I maybe thought that it was going to affect me later. And I also started thinking about, the family, like genetics, right? There's the disposition to certain diseases.
Right.
I want to make sure that if it's in my bloodline, if it's in me, I want to take care of it now, not when I'm older.
Exactly, yeah.
So that alone, because I always said, yeah, I'm a healthy guy, but I really didn't know 100%. So now you mirror, I'm doing the right things, which I am doing the right things every single day for my body, along with the confirmation from Blind Spot Medical, dude. Like, that alone gave me a degree of confidence that I feel like I'm just getting started.
Right.
And, oh, my goodness, it is such a feeling like I get up in the morning, and even if I'm not feeling 100%, I no longer think, I wonder if it's something else. Right. I know I'm just not feeling 100% today. That's it, period. It's not like, is it because I'm getting sick? Is it because I have this disease? Is it because this, that, or the other? Like now, if I'm a little off my game, and this is the example Carla gave, she would always tell me, like, because I would forget stuff. I'm like this ADD guy, right? I'm all over the place. And I'm going to let you talk here in just a second. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
I want to tell, I'm so excited about this. And again, we're talking about Blind Spot Medical, and visit it at blindspotmedical.com and my experience going through this program. But Carla would always tell me, like, you're always forgetful. Like, you're forgetting things. You just said right now you're going to do something and you completely forgot. So those were some of the thoughts that I was thinking. Maybe there is something wrong with me because I never had a CAT scan or brain, what is that? Brain
MRI.
MRI.
Yeah.
I never had a brain MRI.
Right. Most people haven't.
Yeah, and I was thinking, well, maybe you start thinking the worst, right? When you forget things or not doing things or just whatever it may be, you start thinking the worst. I'm like, maybe there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
So now knowing what I know, and we did through a comprehensive, CAT scan, now I know I just forgot. Nothing more than that.
Just had a lot on your plate. And
I had a lot on my plate. I forgot.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I have this tumor, this mass.
Yeah.
It just means that's it. And that alone, being able to nip things in the butt and not create a story behind that, right? I'm not feeling energetic today. Jeez. Well, when you feel that way, you're like, I wonder if something's wrong with me. Well, no, there isn't. And I think Blind Spot Medical, what it did for me, Dr. Boyd, was just give me that confirmation that that's where the story ends.
Yep.
Tomorrow I will feel better.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I will alleviate all that. Yep.
It leads to certainty.
Yes.
Because you get to that point, and this is how I explain it to folks is this. If you've ever just something simple, like you've ever had a cold.
Yeah.
You ever have a cold, you feel off your game. Do you go as hard in a workout? No, we probably skip the workout altogether. Do you have the same level of intensity and everything? No, of course not. Well, Matt, and that's with a cold. Like, God forbid, imagine something more severe.
Yeah.
So, you really, when you take a step back, you can look at it. Your health is the foundation of everything. So when folks go and build business and and they build a family and they or vacations or a nice car, an awesome watch, once you have all those things, you realize that if the foundation isn't solid, what were you building it on in the first place?
And that was my biggest mistake. My thing is when it comes to materialistic things, I don't really think twice. When it comes to brand new computers, technology, I'm like, okay, let's do it right away.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I hesitated on this, and I think we're just conditioned.
We are, and
to hesitate.
This is America. I mean, we're a consumer society.
Yes.
So you're exactly right. We're conditioned to go buy stuff, and there's nothing wrong with going buy stuff. That's our economy.
Conditioned to put that money into ourselves.
Yes, and so it's the bigger problem is that folks don't see themselves as an investment.
As an investment, and we are number one.
That's the number one investment.
Number one investment. Yeah. And I want to go ahead and show you another clip that we have from my experience here, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Blind Spot Medical. Check it out. Your investment in Blind Spot Medical goes far beyond what you think you know about this program. Here I did my research and I thought, well, it's only a couple of MRI scans, CT scans, but it really goes beyond that. The full blood work that we go through and the full analysis of those MRIs, I've never experienced anything like that. So again, if you're just joining us, I have a special guest, Dr. David Boyd, and the founder of Blind Spot Medical. And it's a recent experience that I went through. And we are live here, so if you have any questions about the program, I see you there, Troy. How's it going, brother? Great, guys.
What's up, man? Good to have him on here.
Yeah, good to see you. We are live, so if you have any questions, we are going to touch a little bit about the COVID-19. Yeah. But I really wanted to focus on what it's done. This program has done for my psyche, what it's done for my family. And I'm going to highly encourage you, if you're a small business owner or just in general in a position where there's high stress, high duress, or a family line of diseases, or maybe you're questioning the decisions you made when you were younger, and you want to have that confirmation of how you can move forward powerfully. I think this is the only program they have to go to, really.
It really is.
To see what's good from the inside out.
Yeah.
And what I love about this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I built it that way.
Yeah.
And so if you look at, in terms of where else could someone go? So there's executive health programs out there.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Executive health programs. Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
They exist. Mm-hmm. They're associated with a large corporation, major universities, things like that. And so as I was constructing Blind Spot, I went and I looked. I went on their websites, I made phone calls, I looked to see exactly what they had to offer. And when I was piecing it together, which, mind you, their programs are actually more expensive than mine.
Oh, a lot more.
Yeah.
Like 4 times more.
Yeah. And so when I was piecing it together, I'm like, okay, well, they actually really don't go into the same level of depth. It's just not. And on top of it, it's like a one-day process that you like come in, you do your thing, and then you're done. And there wasn't any personal connection there at all.
Man. Yeah, and that's another thing about this experience, Dr. Boyd, is like it was a VIP service. It was a VIP service. You understand how busy we are.
Yeah.
To go to different places and try to schedule it in, it's difficult. And I think that's why a lot of people avoid even making that initial call, right, to their doctor, because they need to get a referral and then they need to schedule it in,
Right.
and then they have to wait 3 weeks for results. Like none of that was true in this experience. Like we scheduled the day, and you gave me the VIP where you were there through the entire process. Not only did we get the results immediately, okay, I'm not talking about 2 weeks later. Within hours, we were there looking at my results, going through every aspect of my body, every organ,
Yep.
my heart, my brain, my lungs, right? And I was just sitting there like, I was really just overwhelmed with joy to be able to see all these results. All the things that I had doubts before were just being confirmed one by one by one. Now, there was a couple things that I had to change. And the next phase of your process is to give an action plan, right?
Right.
So if there is something that needs attention, like you just don't say, hey, well, good luck.
Right.
I mean, you give them the strategy on what to do to be able to mitigate that. Because the last thing we want to do is wait another 10 years only to end up in that cancer center,
Exactly.
right? Or at the doctor's office because now you're feeling the symptoms.
Yeah.
So even if you feel good, this is something you actually recommend, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially so the way I look at it is this: look and see what you have to lose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, I'm telling you,
That-
I have
I
so
mean-
many people writing on me.
Yeah,
Dr. Boyd.
you're the perfect example. You've built this amazing business. You reach into people's lives and really call out to them to make a better version of themselves. So it's like, for anyone, they look at their life and it really becomes, how much do you value your life? I mean, that's it.
It sounds. I mean, it's the honest truth. It
Yeah.
really is. And I needed to really grasp that and understand that there's a lot to lose if I don't take care of myself. There's a lot to lose if I aren't able to catch these potential problems, health risks, now rather than later. Because I don't want to be that person that is you're now working on making them comfortable as opposed to, taking the precautionary measures.
Exactly.
And that's not a conversation I wanted to have.
Yeah.
But we have another comment here. What are the 3 practical steps to promote longevity in lifespan? So what are some of the things that you do recommend?
Good question. So overall, it's gonna sound relatively simple, but it's true. So first and foremost is taking care of your body, right? So eating right and exercise. And so I know that's easy to say, but if you take a step back and you say, okay, well, what is eating right? What does that look like? You have folks that are like doing keto, and then you have other folks over here that are vegan and this and that. And it's not necessarily that one thing is better than another, but it's finding what works for you that you
Yes.
can stay consistent with.
Yes.
So being consistent, being mindful of your health in terms of what your diet looks like, what your exercise program looks like. There's a lot of folks that don't exercise, or that they'll do the minimum. And I kind of equate it like this. Picture yourself like you're a jaguar, right? Like a jaguar out in the jungle. If a jaguar is always sitting in a tree, it's not going to be the healthiest jaguar.
No, it's going to be a lazy jaguar.
Yeah. So it's like, you got to run, you got to move. It's like, you have folks will say like, oh, but my back hurts. Well, your back probably hurts because you're not doing enough,
Because it's been in that sitting position.
That's
that
right.
Laying position for so long.
It's been in the lazy boy too long,
Yeah.
So it's getting up and moving. It's making sure that you're eating right and everything. But then there's that other component of it, which is the mindfulness. Mm-hmm. Which you're taking time to de-stress. So, whether that's meditation, some folks will do yoga, whatever works for you, that you don't carry that stress around with you all the time.
Yeah, I love that because, the mindset reinforcement, the mindset strength really leads to, like we talked about earlier, it's a precursor. The stress and the duress is a precursor to many other
Absolutely.
Diseases.
Yeah,
So
it adds up.
for us not only to take care of our bodies, but our minds is crucial. I love that.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't alleviate that, and find your way to do it. Like for me personally, I found it's not just meditation. I have to get out and sweat. Like I have to, it's like it gets it out of my body, you know? It's like I have to make that happen. And if not, you know, I'll internalize it. And so then I'll be like nippy with my kids, so it affects relationships. I'll have trouble sleeping, so it messes me up the next day. Yeah. Like you just feel like this tension that's there, you know, which is going to raise blood pressure and so forth. And so cortisol levels, all that, you know. So it's like you have to do, this is the simple stuff that I'm saying, but it's there for a reason. And so that if you just take those small steps, but you take them consistently and you're mindful of that on a daily basis, that's going to serve you in the long run.
That's beautiful, and that's what we teach here at A's and Associates as well. Is that overall, you know, just putting deposits on all aspects of our lives, so we can be in this game for the long term. Yeah. Like I don't care what the competition is doing right now. Like I'm gonna be in this game for decades. Let's see what the competition does then. You know? And that's the approach I always take. But we have another question that I think I completely forgot about. Okay, and I'm glad you asked it, Rebecca. She said, mindset is so important. I'm sorry, let me go ahead. It says, sounds legit. Does he help with checking hormone levels?
Yes.
Yes, he does. So
the short answer is yes.
Let's go ahead and go through Blind Spot Medical. So when I talk about VIP service, it did start with the blood work, right? And I actually had VIP service there. I didn't have to go to a center. I didn't have to schedule that around. Somebody came to my doorstep. They went into my house. They took the blood and they left. Yep. It was that easy. And I had results within, 48 hours or something like that?
Fast.
It was fast. We're not waiting, 2 weeks, 10 days, where it's 48 hours. But it did start there. And then the next conversation we had, or actually our next meeting point was when I was actually at the labs. Right. And we did, tell us a little bit about some of the tests that you do without necessarily divulging everything. You can have that one-on-one with him. You can have that conversation with Dr. Boyd by simply going to blindspotmedical.com. Enter your contact information. He'll reach out to you, and it'll tell you how to be able to learn more about this, or if you have general questions about the program. Small business owner, obviously I would highly recommend it, but if you're just a regular, employee, I don't want to say regular, but just anyone who's takes their health seriously and wants to be here for the long run. Yeah. But tell us a little bit about the program in general.
Sure. So basically how it starts out is it starts out that conversation. And so because the bigger question is like, kind of like with what you said, where it's like your folks are like, well, I think I may be good, but am I, is this program right for me and so forth. So if you go to the website, if you go to blindspotmedical.com, you put in your name, email address, and then it'll lead you to a wonderful case study starring you. And then you just click the green button below, and it leads you to a page where you put in your information, and it leads to a consult with me. And so my whole point is to over-deliver in every aspect of this. And so you pay $97. We have a consult, and we meet up in a Zoom call and we talk. And the whole thing is we go over everything. And so you said some key things, right? So you mentioned well, there's some stuff in my 20s, some stuff in my 30s, so forth and so on. And the thing is, it's all cumulative, right?
It compounds on each other.
It's all cumulative. So take for example, I was never a smoker. I was never a heavy drinker or drug user. But my big thing, food. Yeah. Like food's my drug of choice.
A foodie.
I'm a foodie. Okay. So for me, where you have some folks who are like, oh man, I need a cigarette. For me, it's like, oh man, I need a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And so it was years like that. So years, especially going through college, then going through medical school was super stressful, then going through residency, even more stressful than those initial years of practice. And then my kids came, and it's like you don't get a break. You don't stop.
Your body doesn't get a break either.
No, not at all. And so and I wasn't as educated then as I am now in terms of mindfulness and taking care of myself. So I wasn't investing in myself. I wasn't taking care of me. I was just grinding.
I think that's the problem with
grinding.
You wanted to get ahead, so you knew grinding.
Exactly.
But they don't teach that other level. Take care of yourself so you keep grinding for many years ahead.
And that's where all this, especially with physicians now with burnout and all that other stuff. So it's like now doctors are finally like, oh, maybe we should take care of ourselves. But, well, no kidding, Yeah. But I digress. The point is that, so it's like you have all these years where you're doing this to yourself, and it's all cumulative. It all adds up. So we sit down, and when we have our one-on-one consultation, that's really where it begins, is to take all these pieces and put it all together. to take all the pieces and say, okay, well, this is your personal history, this is your family history, these are the habits that you've had, the exposures that you've had, so forth and so on, so that you can bridge that gap. And of course, we can't tell the future, but we can start to at least start looking forward and say, okay, you know what? Maybe these things you should pay closer attention to. And then based on that, make the determination whether or not you're a good candidate for going through the Blind Spot Elite program.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think what the results that you'll get out of that, and I compared it a lot to like the consultants and the coaches that I've hired for my company, right?
Yeah.
We're only able to get here, and I'm able to live the lifestyle that I have. I don't face, like I have a lot of free time, Dr. Boyd, and it's because of the lifestyle changes that I made, and more specifically, the business changes that I made by hiring and spending tens of thousands of dollars in the coaches and the consultants. I'm able to have this liberty now, right? And it's a quality of life that I wanted. But the same way those coaches and consultants made me feel about my business is the same way I felt about my health and going through this whole experience.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of people in the real estate space that follow us, and I'm going to highly encourage you to look into this. Because if you're going to be in this game for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, which a lot of us tend to be, I already have 15 years under my belt.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, like, I want to have the same vigor and the same energy I have today 20 years from now.
Absolutely.
I'm not going anywhere, right? And I think it's something that we have to push to the forefront and say, okay, maybe we will forego this vacation, or we will forego, buying these nice tires and rims for my car, or this nice watch timepiece. I need to invest in myself. I think it'll get the support from your spouse because I think we all know what rides on you being at your optimal level,
Right.
optimum level. And that's why I went forward with it. And I'll tell you what, like I said, that something clicked in me. Like ever since that day, dude, like I've been going 110%.
I've noticed.
Because I know I can push beyond that now. You know?
Yeah, I've
And before
noticed.
I was like, well, I'm working too hard. Well, I don't know if my body can take this. Now I'm like, I'm going to go run 100 miles.
Yep.
Right? And dude, I'm doing my best times. I don't know if you've seen.
Yes, I've seen them.
Follow
They
me on
keep
Instagram.
Yeah, they
but-
keep dropping. Like you were like in the 8s, then the 7s. Now you're like sub 7.
Yeah, sub 7.
Yeah,
I did 4 miles in 27 minutes and 30 seconds.
that's unbelievable, man.
I'm 41 years old, and I'm 200 pounds. 41 years old, 6'2", 6'1.5". Somebody corrected me on that. 6'2". I'm still gonna claim 6'2". And I'm running down the street and pushing my body in a way that it's not designed to do, right?
Yeah.
And because I know I can take it, and that was the confirmation behind that. And I want to thank you. I mean, every time Carla sees you, she's like so ecstatic.
Oh,
because
dude, I'm honored.
It's changed, man. It's changed that any inclination of doubt that I had,
Yeah.
out the window. And I think everybody, if you own a business, small business, if you're in a place where you want to be in this game for a long time, like you have to go through this process. And it's something that I'm saying out of like pure experience of what it's done for me and my family. And that is the process there. So give us a little bit more. Okay, so we go through the blood test, and then what are some of the things that we do from there?
So the blood test. So when somebody decides to step into Blind Spot Elite, blood test is conducted at home. Now that's if you live here in Phoenix. If you live here in Phoenix, it's conducted at home. My VIP lab comes to your house, draws the blood right there in the comfort of your home or office. So that way, there's no like going waiting in waiting rooms,
I hate
nothing
waiting
like
rooms.
that. And it's on your time. For folks that aren't in Phoenix, so if you're watching this from anywhere else in the country, you fly into Phoenix, and we'll draw it right in your hotel room. And so it's again super convenient. Then after that, and I meet up with you at the imaging center, and I'm with you the whole time. And so we go through the series of scans, CT and MRI, which takes a couple hours because
Yes.
we take a couple 100,000 images. No joke.
Yeah.
It's thousands and thousands of images that we take. Each one of those images is a slice. And then at the end of all of that all gets put together. We sit down with myself and Dr. Frank Sabatelli. Now, outside of the medical world, you wouldn't know who Dr. Sabatelli is. Dr. Sabatelli, absolutely amazing interventional radiologist and scholar, just brilliant guy.
Brilliant, dude. Yeah.
And so
Really down to earth too.
yeah, like super, he's super
enjoyed my
chill,
conversation
right?
with him. Oh, dude, I love that guy.
Yeah, like you have a lot of doctors that are just like stuffy.
Yeah, no,
And
you're even likable.
No,
That's why I like you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So you sit down, and then we go through a body tour,
Uh-huh.
and that's kind of like where it all comes together, which is awesome. And it's, I remember sitting there with you, and you were just like kind of like on the edge of your
I was
seat.
amazed, yeah.
Yeah. And so because when do you get to see the inside of your body?
Never. No, what I was more astounded by was I have two doctors right here.
Yeah.
And they're spending all this time with me. I'm like, I better keep the conversation going. I don't think I'm ever gonna have this experience again. So I've never been in the same room in a checkup for as long as I went through there.
Yeah.
It doesn't even compare. 2 minutes to like an hour.
Yeah.
It was simply amazing. And can we get that air going up in there? It's a little warm in here. I think you're just spitting truth here.
Yeah, that's what it
Dr.
is.
Boyd. It's all about this truth that we're putting out there that's getting a little warm in this room. But, just to spend that much time with both of you,
Yeah.
amazing. And there was not even waiting in the imaging center. It was like I get there, they send me straight to the back. People
Yep,
are looking at
go
me like,
in.
who is this guy? I feel like
Yeah.
some type of like,
The velvet ropes part. And there you go.
man. Yeah, exactly. I felt like this I don't know, if real famous person.
Yeah.
Such a VIP experience, smiles everywhere. You did a good job putting this together. I gotta
Thanks,
tell you
man.
that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We got a couple more insights here. We got Rebecca Sound. Let me see here. Mindset is so important. Some cases more than the food on the plate. Yes. Thank you immensely for the knowledge. And I'm sorry, my reading's off. I can barely see the screen. I need thicker glasses, Doc. We didn't check my eyes.
Yeah, we got to check your eyes. That's what we need. Well, but it is. It's really small.
How about you read that?
Yeah. So Gabriel says, I need to invest in myself, and for good reason. What is the cost for something like this? Yeah, good question.
Yeah, let's go ahead and cover that.
So we've talked kind of like about what the cost of not, right? The cost of not doing something like this is, and that really is when you go and you look at your life. You look at all the things in your life, all the things that you have. That what if that all goes away?
And how many times have we heard that story?
Yeah.
People completely losing their houses, what they've built, what they spent all these decades trying to build, and because of a health issue, they're all losing it. I've heard it at least. I've heard it a number of times.
So one thing, and I'll answer your question one second. I want to tell this story. One thing that I used to run into a lot at the cancer center is RVs. So what folks would do is they would sell their house, sell everything they have, move into an RV, and then drive the RV to the cancer center. And you park it out back so they could go between the RV and their treatments. And
Oh man,
you see it a lot.
yeah.
And so it shook me because it's like, these are the things that you work so hard for, And I'm not to say that like, your house is everything. That's not what I'm saying, but it's more so what it represents.
Yeah.
It's like, when
Your family's at risk, and that's the whole point of what we're trying to do here is create stability in one's
Exactly.
home,
Exactly.
security, and that all goes out the window at the moment there's a health crisis.
Exactly.
And we just felt that with the COVID-19.
Yeah.
And we'll have to bring you back for that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Absolutely.
Okay.
But so to answer your question point blank, so I put this together so that this would be affordable for folks, and because you can't get something like this anywhere else, and insurance companies aren't going to pay for it, for any of it. So you have extensive blood work, you have CT scans, MRIs. If you put all of it together, you're looking at over $26,000 worth of testing that you're getting, and I've managed to get it down to $5,000.
So $5,000.
Yeah.
Like, it was, again, the best investment. It's a fraction of what I spent on silly things that I have, and it was well worth it. And again, it's a value of upwards of $26,000. And if you compare it to some of those executive programs that you were talking about, or the university programs that you were talking about, you're up there in the high 20s, low 30s.
Yeah, easy.
For something similar like this. And these are programs that like top CEOs go through, right?
Right.
They go through something very similar. So he was able to accumulate this and bring it down to where it's affordable, I think, to everyone.
Yeah. Intentionally structured it that way.
And I love it, man. And I got to tell you, after the whole process, I told you, do I owe you more money? Do I owe you more money? Because I felt like I just got so much value out of it. And again, what it did for me psychologically, I went in there to check on my health, but psychologically,
Yeah.
It's just amazing how I feel today.
There's no price on peace of mind,
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Peace of mind. So Gabe, I hope that answered your question, and I know it's totally doable for you, bro. And yes, you have to think about this for obvious reasons, and I hope that you're able to step through and be able to set up that one-on-one. And again, if you have additional questions, go to blindspotmedical.com And Dr. Boyd will sit down
Yeah.
with you via a Zoom call or a
Yeah,
private call,
like this. Yeah.
and go through this process. And that alone, for them to have that conversation and everything. How much is that again? $97. That's less than a doctor's visit, but you actually get the doctor, not a bunch of nurses coming in and out, and 2 minutes with your doctor. You'll get how much time?
I usually spend like half hour, 45
Half
minutes.
hour. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That works.
I mean, I don't sit there with a timer like, your time's up. No,
you sit there long enough to be able to.
Until we connect, we get the answers, and figure out next steps,
And we got another blind spot attendee on the call, Mr. Jim Stagg.
Yeah.
I think I did something to him too. Have you seen him on the top of Sedona?
Dude, he's ripped. Have you seen him?
Jim, you're ripped, bro.
Dude, you're absolutely jacked. He actually sent me a picture this morning.
Dude, what he's sending you?
Yeah, he sent me. Well, because he sent me a text. I hope it's okay. I'm
Little
Jim,
with
Jim
his little
Omar.
shorts.
Yeah.
You love sending that picture,
Dude,
Jim.
it's because he looks that good. Like,
he looks good.
If I look that good, I'd wear the little shorts too.
Yeah, I can't get away
But
with
yeah,
little shorts.
Jim had texted me and said, dude, I feel absolutely on fire. Like, I feel amazing.
And I want to get your take on this, Jim. Are you feeling the same way? Like, after this whole experience, did it just do something for your psyche? Like, I'm playing so small right now. Like, before that, I thought it was pushing my limitations. Now I'm just like, that was a fraction of what I could actually know, knowing that I have my health behind me and the support of my wife, the support of, just everything that I have. Man, I'm excited of what's to come. And we made big decisions, Dr. Boyd. You've heard some of those that we made for our companies.
Yes, dude, I'm honored to have played a small role in that.
Oh, man, I'm feeling that fire. And that's just a fraction of what we're going to be introducing here over the next few months, including starting another business, right? And it's just awesome. But, Jim, I would love to have your insights on that. But we got Michael Morales. I want to do it. Yeah, go to blindspotmedical.com, my brother. Get that one-on-one with Dr. Boyd. He's a wealth of information, and you will never get that much time in front of a doctor, an MD, like you do here. Like Dr. Boyd, like I've gone to a lot of, like my primary care, I don't even know his name, my primary care physician. I've seen him maybe twice.
Yeah, he probably
I've been
doesn't
to his
know yours
office
either,
1,000 times, but I've only seen him twice.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was a quick, hey, hi, how you doing? I'm out.
Yeah.
Gabriel, thank you, sir. I will check into it. You can read that last one here. Let me see.
Let's see. It says, how long is the entire process? I live out of state and need to plan accordingly. No problem. So it's basically for folks that are out of state that fly in, we basically do it in one day. So I'll have folks fly in the day before. So we'll schedule the imaging. I'll have folks fly in the day before. That day before, we'll go ahead and draw your blood work and everything. And then the following day, the whole process takes about like 4 hours. Is what it is. So we meet up. I'm with you during that duration of time, and then we go over everything. So it's super efficient. It's super VIP. Like I said, we have the blood drawn in the hotel room, and I encourage you to do it.
As VIP, there's not a lot of downtime, Michael. It's just an amazing process, and you truly do feel like a VIP, like you mentioned, an elitist.
Yes.
A blind spot elitist.
Blind spot elitist. That's right.
Because the attention is there for you. But now, let's see here. Now Jim Stagg is telling us how to get that look that he has.
There it is.
Eat clean, exercise daily, meditate. Wim Hof breathing?
Wim Hof breathing.
Oh, Wim Hof breathing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a deep breathing exercise that Wim Hof does.
Okay.
And then Jim's up in Sedona, so he's got that cold water creek there, man.
He's got the natural cold plunge.
Yeah, just jumps on in.
So a couple of guys I do want you to follow, Mr. Jim Stagg, and of course Mr. Dr. David Boyd here. You can follow him on Instagram at David Boyd MD, on Facebook at David Boyd, and make sure to go to his business page, Blind Spot Medical, and of course blindspotmedical.com. Dr. Boyd, I got to bring you back in.
Yeah, man.
Like I think this is knowledge that people in my sphere need to hear. My audience and the people that follow us. This is important, and I've prioritized my health as number one. And I can't tell you how much it's benefiting every aspect of my life. My bond with my wife, the relationships I have with my daughters, and they're athletic. They're like little athletes, and they follow everything they.
I see them
follow.
training on Instagram.
Oh,
dude.
It brings me so much joy to know that this is something that they're also taking on with their lives. So, guys, we have to be at that place. So, if you want to really know what's going on in your health, please reach out to Dr. Boyd. Again, I want to thank you for coming in, my brother.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah,
and we'll bring him in. I want to have that conversation about COVID-19.
Let's do it.
It's coming to an end for many states, including ours. I think they've now allowed more businesses to open with precautions. But I want to get your insights. Obviously, I think a lot of people know where my take is on this.
Yeah, I will say this one thing. It's only the beginning.
Oh, it's only the beginning. But listen with this, Dr. Boyd. Should we get back to work?
Yes.
Okay.
It's time.
You said it. It's time.
It's time.
But it's only the beginning. So we'll go ahead and bring you in. Are you free? I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot. Are you free next week?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Okay.
Let's do
get it done. So follow us. We'll have it this time next week?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I'm excited about
We'll be here. Thank you, Dr. Boyd.
Hey, my pleasure, man.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
See you guys. Bye now.